Hello everyone, welcome once again to Investing with the Difference. So first of all, apologies for not coming back with any videos for some time. We have been super busy, and trust me, it is a lot of great progress happening. So today's video, I'm going to talk about a lot of things what are in my mind, what's going on in EOS world, and what are the important things you need to worry. Also, we'll have a look at the market. So pardon me if it goes a little longer than usual, which we try to keep it within 15 minutes, but let's keep going, and I'm sure it will be very insightful, and the key ideas I'm going to talk about, I thought they are critical, and that's why I wanted to come back with a video for you. So do watch it in multiple segments if you're not able to spend enough time, because there are all the way through the end I'm going to talk about some things which all of you as EOS token holders, as investors in crypto, should pay attention to. So let's get started without wasting any more time. So as usual, well, let's look at the markets. It has been pretty good, I would say. Consistent consolidation right above 200-day moving average. We are very close to $5,000 in Bitcoin, stable. We have been very consistently above $5 on EOS, and a lot of other currencies, like we are seeing Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash making a comeback into the top 5. I think Litecoin was for quite some time above EOS, and this happens in any typical positive rallies. I think when the market becomes optimistic, somehow I don't see exactly what's the value add for these currencies. What is it that you cannot do with Bitcoin, or even a currency in general? I was never a big fan. I think Bitcoin, in my eyes, is still a store of value. It's like gold, which you don't go out and spend on a day-to-day basis, but it's more of a store of value. But for Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, I think the verdict is not yet there on what will adapt. Like, people will adapt unless they find some niche markets and so on. But either way, I think one thing is very clear. As we focus on platforms, we focus on technologies, and EOS is that one of those platforms. And I'm going to talk about some things which I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis, and some of my ideas as we go along in this video. But first, let's have a look. As we're talking about price, let's have a quick look at the charts. And I think if you look closely, I did talk about, after this big breakout, that we may need to consolidate, and it kept on going up. In fact, there's a lot of momentum in last few days, and now I think in last couple of days or so, we are seeing some correction. And the good news is we are not falling. Like, if you see what was a typical pattern when we had a big move, we used to typically fall back fairly quickly into the lows. So we are sustaining above 200-day moving average, but remember, the 200-day moving average itself is trending downwards. It has not turned around. So in a long term, the trend has not reversed while we had a breakout above 200-day moving average. So there are multiple factors at play. I think the long-term trend needs to be verified. Short-term trend, of course, is very bullish. There is no question about it, and it's moving very nicely, and it's consolidating. A lot of support in these areas. And let's focus on EOS, as we usually do in terms of Bitcoin, and that is much more optimistic chart. The reason I'm going to tell you is, as I showed you, we crossed 200-day moving average, and at the same time the 200-day moving average itself had curved upwards. So this is very promising usually, and if you look at this trend line itself, it's very good upward momentum. I don't see any corrections. Like, we do have some dips which are healthy, but we don't have any signs of this trend being broken. It's a very, very solid up move. And if we zoom out, there is a lot of all-time highs to be caught up with. So there is no question of this rally getting exhausted at any point soon in the EOS versus Bitcoin. So the relative strength of EOS is going to continue. So some of the things which of course are leading to is you're seeing more and more adoption. People more and more talking about, apps using EOS, actual users coming in on a very daily basis. You're seeing so many new accounts being created. So I think this is driving at the adoption, and at some point this can turn into FOMO, and let's see how that goes. So now we will talk about some apps. We will talk about a lot of other stuff in EOS. So let's get going without wasting time. So I think overall the message is very clear. EOS, even if, let's say, Bitcoin is not out of the overall long-term downtrend, but the breakouts are looking promising. But I would say that EOS versus Bitcoin is definitely broken out very clearly and been performing much better, as we can see from the other chart. Now we will summarize here. Let's move on to some fundamentals, because big things are happening, remember. So you will not see these things in other blockchain. We have today passed the new, you can call it constitution, but it used to be interim constitution, but now it is called EOS user agreement. So this has successfully passed. So let me show you the transaction. So this is like multi-sig. If you were not tracking, I think this was one of the most tracked change in EOS, and you need 15 BPs to approve. EOS New York had proposed it, and now we have the approval from 15 out of 21 BPs, and this is a huge thing. I'll tell you why. Some people are just saying, oh, maybe yes, they just replaced it, or why so many people were so excited about it. I would recommend you to read the article from Stokes, who has written a few hours back. He posted on Steemit. I'll post a link here, but let me explain you the gist of it. So when this EOS user agreement is passed, it is replacing the constitution to much more easy to understand terms and conditions. It's taking out ECAF in some way or other, because ECAF is no longer there. No arbitration is mentioned in this user agreement, and it is intended to replace the interim constitution, which was very subjective. It also has taken out quite a few things, like originally, you remember, there was a lot of concerns around Article 15, I think, which said that if 3 years you don't make any transaction, this can be taken away from you. Those things are gone, and a lot of other interesting things are, like, first of all, now there is no more conditions for 15% of referendum thresholds. Now, how this will play out, it will be interesting to see now. Will people start updating their website, the block producers? Will they stop talking about following the constitution? As you know, some of the BPs already talked about not agreeing to passing this, because the referendum on the user agreement had not received more than 1.7% votes, and they were worried that as per the interim constitution, referendum has not passed. But now, because the rest of the DPOS has declared that EOS user agreement is our new constitution, or the terms and conditions we go by, I would be interested in seeing if the block producers come back and say, as the community has spoken, as the DPOS has changed the interim constitution, now we will abide by this new user agreement. Secondly, I think very important thing you need to understand with EOS, this would have been a huge deal in blockchain world if you were changing the basic constitution itself, like for example Bitcoin or Ethereum. This will need a hard fork. This may actually result in a chaos with what we have seen in Bitcoin world, with so many forks happening. Now the beauty of DPOS is we changed the fundamental principles. We changed from interim constitution to EOS user agreement, and there is no other way but for everybody to accept it now. Nobody's coming and saying, oh, you know what, this passed and I'm going to go and fork EOS and I will go by the original interim constitution. That is not happening, and that is what I would tell you is so powerful, just as a demonstration. So if you're not understanding the impact of this EOS user agreement, this is huge. This is and this is why I just go around, read about some of the knowledgeable people talking about it. As I mentioned about Luke Stock's article, I mentioned about some of the Twitter posts and so on, which people are analyzing this. So it is huge, and this also means that now if we go by this, the interpretation of this user agreement can bring in a lot more changes. People who do not care for voting, now they need to be concerned that it's not that you need 15% thresholds. It's not that the changes can happen by active BPs who can go for these multi-sig proposals directly on chain. And now your vote matters even more when you go and vote for a BP to be in top 21. What changes they are making, it has opened the door for so many new things. And when we talk about that, let's move to the next thing, which is Rex. So a lot of you have been waiting for Rex. again, I think this is now become even more significant because EOS user agreement has passed, and there were so many Rex proposals like to use the system fees and so on to include it in Rex, while the final version of Rex code was delivered by Block.one on end of March, and now this is being seen as the version which can go and be integrated. All the reviews, all the bug fixes are completed, and even beyond that, Block.one came out about some more articles about if you are really interested in understanding Rex. There were some lot of calculation models, the maths around it, but in general they have declared that the EOS IO contracts, the new version, has the final Rex version available. And let's go back to EOS Authority page where they are showing the tracking of it. We are only 4.5 days away from completing the final tests and then going ahead and submitting it for similar approval like EOS user agreement for Rex to be enabled on the chain. And with no restrictions are now, with the precedents being set that BPs can go and approve it, and even include the system fees, which is already part of the Rex code, by the way. The Block.one has already recommended using the RAM fees and so on. I think the name fee, the name auction fee, and if that code is taken as is from Block.one without making changes, it will already be a much better model for leasing or for lending your EOS tokens, for making yield on it than what you have with Chintai or others. Of course, Chintai has its own value, and Rex has some other limitations for lenders. For example, it has a minimum of 30 days and so on, so they will coexist. But overall, it's a big deal, I think, for the token holders, that now from your accounts you can lend by buying Rex tokens. One more thing is, I think there are a lot of tools being built for Rex. So first of all, let me explain you this EOSRex.io. This is one of the sites. I found it interesting. I don't know who is behind it. I don't know how reliable it is, so use it at your own risk. But I'm just intrigued by it, so I just wanted to show you how easy it will be. You just go log into your scatter and you will be able to lend EOS to the pool, buy your Rex tokens, see the price, see your returns. It's like going to show up here. They're already running it on Jungle Testnet. Now again, as I said, I have not confirmed who is behind it. I'm hoping more people will review this and confirm that they are reliable and it is open source and so on. But either way, you will see more such resource exchanges, because ultimately it's a system contract now. You're not relying on a third party. As long as the interface is reliable, you can directly, using your account without transferring token to somebody else, Rex will allow you to lend and unlend, and you will be able to earn returns. You will be able to see the prices and so on. But of course, and this site is also good, which I like, is they have very good explanation of what Rex is, how it works. So go check it out. I think this is one of the best resource right now for understanding Rex and what it would mean. And hopefully, if this is a reliable and trusted site and the community approves it, I think I would try to use it when the Rex is enabled. So a lot of things, I think, as I said, a lot of interesting stuff is happening. We do track on Twitter what's going on. So one of the important thing which we are working on within Blockstart, and we are very excited about the announcement of Moonlighting. Now this is an existing business which is doing some really great work. Like, this is a gig economy, guys. Like, you know about Uber, you know about Lyft, you know about so many other economies now are moving from peer to peer, where you are not, and Moonlighting has a huge use case. It's about finding help, finding resources. It's not just, it's a freelancing marketplace. And when we talk about jobs, it's not just you are talking about a company asking for like developers. It's jobs can be anything in your home. You're like plumbers, electricians, or even the jobs like your caretakers and so on. So it's a great use case. They have been growing very well. They raised the EOS VC fund 5 million round. EOS VCs themselves are leading this round, and the total round size is 5 million. So it's undisclosed amounts from EOS VC fund here, and I have personally, we are involved because we are working with them as Blockstart as a strategic partner, and we are excited to see this public news around it. And now we are very actively helping them to get on EOS. What is the critical part here is, sorry about the ads here on the site. The critical part here is that these big user bases are coming to EOS, and people believe in the EOS technology. And when you talk to the businesses, they understand why the EOS was used, and that is because of faster transactions based on free transactions. There's so many benefits which these guys are seeing that it's not very difficult for us to convince, and this is why I see the future of EOS. Now, we already talked about DPoS, we talked about some other base layer stuff which is evolving in a very smooth way, in a non-controversial way. When we talk about Ethereum and all, I think we always talk about technology comparisons, and people compare about how Ethereum is and what EOS is and performance and so on. But what just happened with the user agreement? Let me go back to this. What just happened with the EOS user agreement? This itself shows the maturity of the system, where DPoS is in action. The base layer people can vote and decide rather than fighting, forking, and disagreeing with each other. And that is something which has been part of the proof of work that also worries me all the time. So again, as I said, I keep telling you, I'm not against, like, I used to be a big supporter of Ethereum, and I'm still hoping they are successful. And once they are building DPoS, I have not really understood the Ethereum version 2.0 that much on how they are going to implement this whole processes of DPoS. But what I love about EOS, I think they are not really DPoS, they are proof of stake, not DPoS. Now let me talk about EOS first of all here, which I understand best. This really shows you that how the base layer should be run. This really demonstrates that businesses will build when you have that stability, when you don't care on what's really going to impact this whole blockchain itself. You're not worried about forking, you're not worried about lot of instability and volatility in the base layer. So this is why I think it's very exciting. Now finally, before we close this, I cannot leave without talking about EOS World Expo. This is happening this weekend in San Francisco. I hope more and more of you will try. It's very late for joining now, I hope, but I think I whoever I talk to, I think they're already aware of it. Unfortunately, I was too busy to do a video. I wanted to talk about this, but it's one of the biggest event of EOS World. You need to really go and see what is happening from here. If you're coming, that would be perfect. If you're not able to come, go and sign into or whatever live streams are available, whatever information is available. Some of the best apps are on EOS are coming here, and this is what we all are excited about. I think this is a great resource just to track what is happening on EOS. World Expo, which is right now bringing all these people together in one place, in one room, is huge. And many of these projects, even I am learning right now on what's happening, and it's just amazing. We have 2 days full of programs here. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend most of it because I had some family commitments, but overall I think I will try to show up and hope I can meet some of the people. But overall, I think this is something not to be missed. It's some really great people coming here. We have Brock Beers, we have Frank Chester, so many other people, some of the key personalities in EOS world, some of the best dApps and resources and tools which are being developed on EOS. This is your place if you're interested in EOS. So do join EOS World Expo if you can. There is still time to just hop onto whatever mode of transport and get here in San Francisco this weekend. So this is a lot. I think I cannot even cover everything which I've been tracking. This is something which was in top of my mind to talk about, and I wanted to really emphasize on why it matters, why we have all given up on other stuff and we are so much focused on EOS, why we are building this community. Why means I have been looking at so many technologies, we have done so much work in other areas. EOS has really got us going, and this is the reason. Means every day I look at the plans, the maturity. I don't know what is the mainstream media saying. When you are in the community, the progress in less than 1 year of mainnet launch and the actual at a governance level, at the dApps level, at building tools, everywhere the level of progress is just unbeatable. And I can't see in the whole coin market cap in top 10 any other project, including the king of Bitcoin and all these top projects like Ethereum and whatnot. I cannot find anybody else which has all the components to be successful, and that is what matters. And if you are not paying attention, if you are still not sure, I think this is your last chance, because as I told you, irrespective of the price of Bitcoin, EOS has already declared that this bull market is started and bear market is over, and this is the proof I wanted to show you. And I wanted to leave here with this message that this kind of a trend through these ups and downs of Bitcoin, and this started, by the way, before Bitcoin. This started in, like, the bottom was found in December. That is what I think, and this is actually early December. So this is what you need to understand. Like, usually the technology leaders are the leading indicator in the market, and you cannot ignore it, and you cannot ignore the progress in what's happening. So thank you once again for joining. And I think I cannot promise you that there will be a lot of videos in near future, but we are going to come back with more content. And moreover, we are also continuously working with developers. If you are building projects, if you are interested in working with us, do contact us. I think as I told you, we are already expanding teams. We are already doing some big projects, like we already talked about Moonlighting. I hope I can talk about more of those projects which we are working on. Unfortunately, they are not public yet, but if you are interested, do come and talk to us. Go to Blockstart.one, Blockstart.one, and do send us a message. Anything you are trying to do in the blockchain space, our goal is to guide you to choose the right platform, choose the right ideas. And if you want us to help you achieve your targets, we are more than happy, because this is still, let me tell you, this is still very early days. The amount of disruption EOS and blockchain technology is going to bring is going to be just amazing, and I'm seeing it, and being part of it is so exciting that I just wish that we had 48 hours in a day and can just do more things. But right now, as I said, we are continuously expanding team. If you are a developer, if you are interested in joining us, feel free to contact us as well. And we have been discussing earlier, we are doing a lot of other programs also for actually teaching you. If you are an enthusiast, nothing should stop you. If you are not there yet, we will help you get there by connecting you to the resources. If you are already developing and if you need help, do reach out. All these things, don't hesitate. That is the Blockstart part of the world which we have created in parallel as Investing with a Difference. I'm signing out from here for now, and look forward to talk to you again. Thank you. Bye bye.